Yes, indeed, it is. Once again, time for another episode of the KeNikka Sports Show, everybody. A happy Friday edition, a happy opening day edition. I am your host, Kenny, and I am joined once again, as always, on this beautiful desert morning here by my lovely co-host, the one, the only, Producer Nikka, everybody. Welcome to the show, Producer Nikka.
Well, hello, Kenny. Hello to our new and to our returning listeners. Welcome to maybe overreaction. What's today? Friday.
Overreaction Friday, opening day edition.
There you go. That's
This is the day where if your team lost on opening day, you're like congregating with your fans at the local town bridge or city bridge and jumping off, right? Like you're jumping off the bridge. Well, I mean, it is overreaction Friday. We did have opening day yesterday, unless you were a Rockies and Rays fan, everybody, because they punted until today. Apparently, I still don't understand why this has happened. Like, how can a stadium not be ready on one day, but then the following day it is ready? I don't get it. I don't know what's happening in South Florida.
Something needed to dry out, maybe.
Possibly,
I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Well, either way, they will get going this afternoon, actually. They are the one lone game that will be on TV. So if you are a baseball fan, Rays Rockies will be your lone choice of baseball entertainment this Friday afternoon, opening weekend. And really? I also don't understand, like, why the day after opening day we're just punting to, like, all night games right away. These are guys that have been mostly playing in the afternoon. I know Arizona sprinkled in some night games, but I don't think Florida did this year. And so I just feel like the move right away to night games is like a harsh shift from what we were playing for the past 6 weeks before the season started. But nevertheless, it is what it is. We got one game this afternoon, Rockies at Rays, and then we will have just 8 more games tonight. Because MLB does this thing on opening weekend where some of the games are 3-game series, but they want everyone to kick off the season on opening day, unless, of course, you're inconsequential in their minds, like the Rockies and Rays must be. Just kidding. I don't find you inconsequential, especially the Rays. You have some great young players. I digress. We're here. It's Friday. We have 9 games on the schedule today, and then everyone else will start playing again tomorrow. So if your team is playing today and you played yesterday, that means you have a 4-game series to kick off the season, and that is what we have here in San Diego. We got to see our Padres kick off the season against the Braves. We had a really fun opening day yesterday, but before we get into baseball, I gotta stop for 1 second, everybody. I gotta talk about what we saw last night in the NBA. For those of you that don't know, we are a West Coast oriented baseball podcast, but Nikka and I come from the city of the big shoulders in the Midwest. Of course, I'm speaking of Chicago, and I grew up a diehard 90s Bulls fan. I mean, I was there in the 80s, so I was there before the championship run got underway. Huge Bulls, Michael Jordan fan growing up. But what we are seeing now today, it's 10 o'clock right now on the West Coast, and I haven't had a lot of time to check in on the national media this morning because we've been getting this show ready to go. And for those that don't know, this show takes a little bit of work to get going. I love doing it, but I have to pay attention to it while I'm doing it. And so I haven't seen a lot of the national coverage or the local Chicago coverage of the Bulls-Lakers game last night. But I have this feeling or this sneaking suspicion that the Bulls are about to become a national story. Like, that is a great moment that was captured on just in history last night. A half-court buzzer beater, of course, is what I'm talking about. Nikka, what did you think when you saw it last night?
Oh, it was amazing. It was an amazing shot. And on top of it, the pictures that came out speaks 1,000 words. If you haven't seen it, it's one of the best action pictures floating around the internet at the moment.
It is great. I have it saved on my phone, so I'll probably send it out to some friends and family later, maybe post it on our social media channels for everyone to look at. Like, just as a photographer and someone that's photography oriented like yourself, I think it captures that moment, like where who knows when it was captured, but either way.
It doesn't really matter. It's a Kodak moment. You wouldn't be able to get a shot or a picture like this if you stage the shot by itself.
Right.
You wouldn't get it.
It is.
It
And this
doesn't
is
work like that.
just to make it known what picture we're talking about specifically. This is before the ball goes in the hoop.
Yes.
For the buzzer beater half court shot. But you see Josh Giddey, is that his name? I'm still learning these new bowls, everybody. I'm so sorry. But he is posed in his follow through at half court, and you see Luka Doncic and LeBron James both in the image, with everyone's backs are turned to the camera, and the clock says 0.0 on it above the scoreboard, and the ball is above that floating in the air. And it's just this great moment because forever we will now know that ball goes in the hoop. And,
right.
and the celebration that endured afterwards, and just the fact that it was at home too, so fun to be able to. I don't think I've seen the Bulls celebrate like that at home since the championships. I mean, even through the Rose era and all those games and moments, I don't know if anything beats what we saw last night as a Bulls fan.
It was fantastic. It's phenomenal.
I will say for you and for me, I think it was like the chef's kiss on a beautiful opening day for baseball, right?
I guess.
Nika's shaking her head where the hell did that come from? But I just mean we had a great opening day. We saw the Padres win yesterday afternoon. We also saw the Cubs win their first game of the year last night after losing both games in Tokyo.
They're singing, "Go Cubs, go! Go Cubs, go!"
And I thought this was a big, important win for the Cubs. We're going to talk about. We also saw the White Sox, everybody, coming out and winning Game 1 against the Angels. What did Tony Soprano call him? Exactly, a retirement community. It was opening day, and the Padres did win. I wrote down some notes about the game, Nika. I was really excited to see that the Padres came out, and I feel like kind of turned it up a notch since the regular season started. I saw a lot of concern, and there was definitely a voice of concern about whether or not there was some hangover maybe from last year. But, the Padres did not light the world on fire in spring training. I think it's safe to say.
No team did. I mean, you don't expect it.
Well, we had some hot hitters coming into the season. We talked about on the last episode, like Cody Bellinger and...
Sure, but it's just spring training. Nobody counts these games.
Of course, we need something to talk about on our podcast, but everyone that follows baseball knows spring training doesn't matter, and tons of guys over the history of the game have had really slow spring trainings, and then, boop, the season starts, and they're like a totally different person.
Yeah.
And I did think we got a little bit of this from the Padres yesterday. I don't know if you agree, but it was nice to see, I feel like, the enthusiasm kicked up a notch because the season's here.
Oh, definitely. You can see the excitement. You can feel the excitement in the air. If you're in the stadium.
You could. And we have some great news actually in our milestone segment coming up later about the Padres' attendance yesterday on opening day in San Diego. It was pretty exciting, everybody. So we will tell you about that fun stat coming up later. But a few notes here about the Padres game. I noticed Fernando and Manny just coming out and hitting the ball. They each struck out once, but they put the ball in play a lot. Fernando goes 3 for 4 in the game. Manny goes 2 for 3. And our guy, Action Jackson Merrill.
Action Jackson. And action is on the way.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Coming through again, Mr. Clutch. 4 RBIs in the game yesterday, including a big first inning single off of Chris Sale to put the Padres ahead early in the first inning in this one, after going down early in this one. And then later in the game, we got to see newcomer Gavin Sheets tie the game in the 7th inning for the Padres with his first home run. It was his first at bat as a Padre. He was pinch hitting. That was pretty cool. But I want to point out that this home run came off of good old Hector Neris, everybody. If that name sounds familiar to you, he was, of course, a member of the Cubs bullpen last year. And if you know anything about the Cubs bullpen last year, Nika, they were often calling the plumbers, right? They were very, very leaky as a bullpen group. And Hector Neris is now employed by the Braves. If you're an Atlanta fan, you might want to check your bullpen and call a plumber. Tell Snitker he might need to call a plumber.
Plumbers? We fix leaks.
Well, let them experience that on their own. Give them any ideas.
Well, either way, welcome to San Diego, Gavin Sheets. That home run opened up the inning for the Padres. They went on to score 4 runs that inning and win the game 7-4. We saw the bullpen strength come through yesterday. Michael King was not sharp. We're going to talk about that in 1 second, but the Padres bullpen was very sharp yesterday, and they deserve a tip of the cap. Jason Adam closing it down in the 8th, and then our guy, Robert Suarez, came in and got his first save of the year, although it was a little, well, as it always tends to be, it was a little stressful.
Yes, that was. I had to leave the house.
Bad memories from last September against the Tigers, everybody, when I think he gave up, what was that, a grand slam in that game?
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it.
Okay.
So move on.
Happy Friday indeed, everybody. All right. Well, it was great to see the Padres get an opening day victory, start the season 1-0, and I think show some fight, come from behind at home and win, just kind of like last year's team. And it speaks to the fact that this core that AJ Preller has put together with Mike Schilt managing them, they play all 9 innings. They're going to fight till the end. They're going to play all 27 outs against you. They are going to use the entire field against you. They are going to take what the game gives you. And I thought this was almost like a symbolic win in a way, because it reminded me a lot of last year's Padres team that won a second best in their team franchise history, 93 games. And it's going to take something like that to get back to the playoffs this year. And we have high hopes because they are so well managed. But anyways, moving on, we had more baseball yesterday. Obviously, it was opening day, and the Padres rivals, the Dodgers, hung their World Series banner right alongside with Ice Cube, who drove out a lowrider onto the warning track. We also saw those Dodgers go on to beat Tarek Skubal and the Tigers on opening day, though it wasn't pretty for either pitcher. And this is kind of one of the things I wanted to bring up was we had talked a lot about these pitching matchups on opening day the other our past show, and which ones we were looking forward to the most. And I think I over predicted how good starting pitching would be on opening day. If you'll remember, I predicted low scoring for opening day, and I was wrong. Pitching was not at a premium yesterday.
Well, not the ones you highlighted.
Not the ones I highlighted, though. We do have a special pitcher to talk about coming up soon. But the Skeens and Sandy Alcantara matchup was fine, but it wasn't like shutout through 7 innings for both of them. Neither one went over 5 innings in this one. The Michael King and Chris Sale matchup was, both pitchers got hit pretty good. Sale went a little bit longer because he was able to keep his pitch count down, but Michael King looked noticeably nervous doing his first ever opening day start, and just shake it off and go out there and you're good. So
Yeah, I think he was too much spotlight on him. He might not be used to that.
yeah, I think in retrospect, Dylan Cease might have been a better decision here for the Padres, just because he's done it before for the White Sox. But it's over. We get to see Dylan Cease go today, actually, and I'm excited about that. But elsewhere last night, we had Zach Gallen not looking the sharpest, Justin Steele also not looking the sharpest. But
That's another good, pitcher that we were talking about that potentially should not been starting.
yeah, we felt like the decision to not go with Corbin Burns. I don't mean this in a cruel way, but sometimes changes for the betterment and sets a different tone. Like, this year's gonna be different, and you're not the number one anymore. And I don't mean that in a hurtful way. You're still like a valued part of the team and the pitching staff, and you're still making the same amount of money. So it's not like you got like a demotion salary wise or anything like that. It's just
a different lineup rotation.
Yeah, and I think it was a mistake. That's all. But we'll wait and see how the Diamondbacks course correct. They are 0-1. The Cubs, as we mentioned, got that big win, and we saw their bats kind of come alive in the desert last night after struggling a bit in Tokyo. So
It was nice to see, actually.
pleasant to see for the Cubs. And then one of the pitching matchups that did live up to the hype was actually in the great Northwest Pacific, everybody, in Seattle, where we had Logan Gilbert against Luis Severino, who was looking sharp in those yellow A's uniforms up there, everybody. The A's, if you haven't seen, have brought back the lemon yellow jerseys with the green trim.
Are they sponsored by 7-Up by any chance?
Very 70s. I don't know who should sponsor them. Damn, they are looking good, though.
They do.
And Luis Severino was looking very good. The Mariners, however, come back late thanks to Randy Arozarena, who hit a game-tying home run in the 8th inning, and then Jorge Polanco, everybody, goes yard for a 2-run homer in the 8th. KeNikka, are the Mariners going to turn the corner offensively this year?
Hopefully. I don't know, honestly. I'm 50-50 on the Mariners at this point.
I got to be honest, it was lukewarm before that. Like, there was not a lot of offense or action in this game. I don't know if that's fair to judge on one game because it is opening day and there are good pitchers pitching.
I know, that's why we call it Overreaction Friday, because everybody is hyped up about certain games and they want to predict the whole season, yet you can't.
It's a weird one, right? Opening day for me is a weird one because it's like, of course, you can't make an overreaction about one game when you have 162 of them in one season. And the bottom line is yesterday, half of the teams in baseball lost. And they don't want to look in the mirror this morning and be like, our season's over. Like, so that's,
of course not.
That's
too early.
ridiculous. But at the same time, like, I do want to say, out of all the overreactions that exist in sports, possibly opening day might matter the most, honestly, because you cannot beat the feeling, I think, for the teams that won yesterday of looking in the mirror this morning and saying, like, damn it, I'm glad we got off to a good start today.
Yes, and also you have only one opening day. Everything else after that is just regular season. It's called opening day for a reason.
It is.
And everybody puts a premium on it.
Well, I hope Jackson Churio doesn't put a premium on it because
They
Jackson
already-
Churio yesterday, he started the season the way you definitely don't want to start a season, everybody, with a platinum sombrero. If you don't know, that's a step above the golden sombrero, and the golden sombrero is 4 strikeouts in a game. So you do the math.
That's a milestone for Churio.
5 strikeouts on opening day. Yuck. I'm sure he cannot wait to get out there today and put some bat on the ball. On the other side of the field in that game, that was one of the first games that got going, by the way, was Yankees-Brewers yesterday. On the other side, Austin Wells led off the season for the Yankees with a home run. I think I read, don't hold me to this, that he was the first Yankee to ever lead off a season with a home run. I thought that was kind of cool in their storied franchise for him. We also saw Adley Rutschman get 2 home runs yesterday. For some reason, Adley Rutschman
I wanna see, get free with me.
just tears the snot out of the ball on opening day. This is like a deja vu, right? It seems like every year on opening day, we're just talking about Adley Rutschman and how many hits he has and good stuff. And also, the Orioles, by the way, were the big winners yesterday offensively. They plated 12 Orange Birds up in Toronto against the Blue Jays.
Come on, Orioles. Come on, Orioles.
So a shellacking 12-2, not making my prediction of the Blue Jays going to the World Series looking very good, right, Nika?
Well, I guess Vlad is upset.
Yes, and we have breaking news about Vlad Jr. and his contract situation coming up in 1 second. But before we head into breaking news, I just want to wrap up my opening day thoughts here. It was a really fun day being able to watch baseball. I kind of enjoyed the fact that all the games mostly got started at once. And then we did have ESPN like kind of intruding a little bit because Yankees Brewers was on ESPN and Dodgers Tigers was on ESPN. And I'm not a big fan of that because we can't watch it and we don't have cable, and we don't have ESPN Plus, and we're not buying it right now.
Oh,
so
definitely not. It's an old contract that needs to just die.
it is, and I got an interesting survey from MLB yesterday, and it does sound like maybe there's thoughts internally about trying to bring all the games under one umbrella brand, and I would really welcome that as a fan. So hopefully that is able to happen sometimes soon. I think sometimes when they try to put the sport on every single possible network, it spreads it too thin and it becomes too inconsistent of a product. And I would like to see more consistency in the baseball production across the board. Okay, well, I think that's all I got. Nika, do you have any other opening day thoughts here?
No, I think we covered it.
We did pretty good. There was not a lot of like Schnell and Tariq Skubal were underwhelming, I guess, at best. Like it was just nothing great, nothing too bad. Crochet and Eovaldi, same thing. So we could talk about opening day until we're blue in the face, but we have plenty to talk about on this episode. So without further ado, Nika, can you cue up the music for breaking news?
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention?
This bullet just handed to me.
And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
All right. Well, breaking news out of Toronto. Vlad Jr. did not ink a deal. He did not get an extension before the season started. So I guess it's officially over.
So it's
for now. Until it's not. Exactly.
So it's on for Vlad Jr. to prove his worth in a way, right?
Yeah, it's on Donkey Kong.
So now it might cost Blue Jays a little bit more at the end of the season if they want to continue to work with Vlad or extend his contract or give him a new contract or whatever, however you want to phrase it.
Yes, indeed. It will be interesting. I think it might take Vlad a second to get reoriented for the season, but I do predict that he is going to live up and prove his talents and become more expensive before the season is over. Not less expensive.
I want to see it.
We will. I'm confident,
All
and
right.
we'll see. Like I said, the Blue Jays kind of got punched by the Orioles yesterday pretty bad. I know they're going to want to punch back. These two teams don't like each other. So it might be just what Vlad Jr. needs to get going early. All
We've
right.
seen how this works for a lot of players with
We
their
have.
contracts on the line.
We have, and I think this is one of those situations that the Blue Jays are going to regret it. They're just going to regret not. If they were really only $50 million apart, just pay the man his money.
I know. What's up with that?
I don't know. They seemed more willing to open up the pocketbook for Ohtani and for even Juan Soto, according to reports, than they were for their own homegrown talent. And I don't know. That just doesn't sit well with me. And I wonder if it will, no matter what, never sit right with Vlad,
Yeah.
Like, we'll see. We'll see what happens at the end of the season. And I heard Harold Reynolds even yesterday say, like, he doesn't think that this is a closed door right now,
Well,
even though
we've been
both
saying
sides
that.
are kind of saying, like, that it's over.
I know, but we've been saying this when this whole thing started happening. The door is never fully closed or locked. Till
Of course. Well, another one of the players in baseball that was kind of putting an artificial deadline on this process was Garrett Crochet. And he was seeking an extension with the Red Sox, who traded for him in the offseason from the White Sox. He was going to be moved at the trading deadline last year, and then he wasn't. And then all of a sudden, the Red Sox get him. Anyways, he did not get an extension from the Red Sox. He says the process is over. So he will be pitching for a contract this year as well. Just keeping you up to date on all of that, everybody. And Tanner Bybee, I wanted to mention, he just signed that extension with the Guardians, as you found out on our previous show. He did not start yesterday. He was ill. I just wanted to mention that because there's nothing to be alarmed about if you're a Guardians fan long term here, but he just has a stomach bug, apparently. he's going to be okay. And then I did want to mention that this weekend, baseball is returning to national TV on Fox, which is something that most of us can just watch over the rabbit ears if we had to. Baseball night in America is back. We got a couple games on Saturday that we have on the schedule, everybody. It is, well, the Braves and Padres are on Saturday night, and the Mets and Astros are going to be on in the afternoon before them. So good stuff. Fox baseball, you'll probably hear AJ Pierzynski, or as we call him, Pishniewski. I forget how you say that.
Brzezinski.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Well, that is all the news that is fit to print. Enjoy those games on Fox if you're able to catch them. We will definitely be watching those games because, I didn't mention Juan Soto, everybody. Struck out to Josh Hader. It was a sight for sore eyes for Padres fans, seeing two of our former 2023 NLCS players duel each other at the end of this one. And Juan Soto kind of striking out badly. And I saw some Mets fans like kind of salty, crying a little bit. Like,
Oh, this is just the beginning.
it is. Get ready for it. You have a subpar fielder and who acts like we don't mean this in a negative way or we don't mean this in an offensive way, I promise, but we call him a baseball ditz.
Yeah, if he had blonde hair, he would fit the picture really well.
Maybe Lindor should take him to his haired person. Because didn't
Maybe.
Lindor have some bleach blonde going at one point?
Yes, he did. He
Okay.
went from blue to blonde. Now he's fine regular color.
I think they should.
know.
I think they should give him a little bit of the Dennis Rodman treatment from the '90s.
Oh,
Yeah.
that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, it might look good on you, Juan.
Yeah.
Try it out. Well, either way, he struck out to Josh Hader, a little lefty on lefty action in Houston last night to finish the game off. And Juan Soto failed. He struck out, and the Astros won. Cam Smith's debut, by the way. Well, I didn't clip it, but we heard some funny Juan Soto stuff on the Rich Eisen show earlier this week. Maybe I'll dig that up over the weekend, everybody, because he might not be all he's cracked up to be. Just put it that way. And those of us that have watched him closely play over the course of a full season have some concerns. Despite I won't deny the numbers are there. I'm gonna table this conversation for now because we got a lot to get to, including a rumor, everybody.
Are the rumors true?
I love rumors.
You're all vulnerable to vicious rumors.
Well, you know how this town is. People talk and they spread these cruel rumors.
Rumors? Rumors? Spread by whom?
Thank you for the music, Nika. And this rumor comes from Kyle Glazer, everybody. He is from foul territory. He is part of the Friar territory team. And he says that the Padres have received a lot of trade interest in Eggy Rosario, according to AJ Preller. Now, if you don't know, Eggy Rosario is a minor league player who has a little bit of major league experience with the Padres over the past few seasons, but he is out of options to the minors, and it appears likely that he will be traded in the coming days, according to AJ Preller. They are weighing multiple offers for Eggy Rosario's services. I wanted to mention this rumor because there's hundreds of Eggy Rosarios potentially right now in Major League Baseball. And we follow the Padres, so that's our Eggy Rosario of this time. But there's a lot of teams and players that have players that they don't want to put on the team right now that are out of options to the minors. And they're kind of all in limbo right now. We'll see what teams look like. I want to knock on wood right now and say we had a relatively opening dayless injury report. I didn't see a lot of injuries yesterday, and that's a beautiful thing, despite the fact that we did see Mike Trout get hit on his hand in his first at bat. But we did not see a lot of injuries yesterday, so that is good. But Nika, anybody that you think the Padres should try and target on their team right now with like a trade? Is more pitching? Is that what you're hoping to get back here right now?
Pitching is always at the premium. So, yes, I would love to go for a pitching, but I will be more interested in a closer, long reliever or a closer.
Well,
not the
I think
closer.
we have the bullpen pieces. I wouldn't be sad if the Padres did move Robert Suarez eventually. We'll have to wait. I think it's his job to lose kind of right now because he is the existing closer on the roster. But you do have Jason Adam there, and he has closing experience with Tampa Bay. And you also have Morejón, who is like looked at as being a player who could potentially be coming into his own this year. Is he going to be the next Tanner Scott, left-handed reliever to shorten your game at the end? Hope so.
Maybe. It would be great for him to become that.
As much as I want the Padres to target a little bit more pitching depth because of Yu Darvish situation, because of Joe Musgrove situation, and just the uncertainty of these other guys you have, I also want to name drop Alexander Canario. He was DFA'd by the Cubs earlier in spring training. He was also DFA'd by the Mets. Despite the fact that he had a pretty decent spring training. Now, the one thing he does a lot is strike out. We noticed over 50% of his bats usually end in a strikeout, and that is just something you can't have at the major league level. The reason I want to bring him up is because we also know coaching matters so much in baseball, and I love Mike Schilt and his coaching philosophy, and I just wonder what he would be able to do with a guy that has this awesome talent that Canario seems to have, but hasn't been able to put it together consistently. So, anyways, that's what's happening in the rumor land right now is a lot of teams are looking to move these lower tier pieces, but you are only as strong as your weakest link, right, Nika?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, that's all the rumors. Let's get on to an injury report, shall we? And I gave the cat away already, but not a lot of injuries on this report. Thank goodness. The one thing I want is to watch the best players and always be on the field. And when there's no injuries, that's a good thing. Just a couple of things to report, though. Liam Hendricks, everybody. He has been coming back from, of course, cancer. And then he had Tommy John, like right after that, because he was probably throwing too hard when he was coming back from cancer. He is now going back on the IL, the 15-day IL here for the Red Sox with elbow inflammation. Never a good sign if you're a pitcher to have that elbow inflammation thing. Now, it doesn't appear serious, so he is coming off Tommy John. I don't think he's going to have to go right back and have another Tommy John, I hope. So knock on wood. Hopefully that's what this is.
I think he rushed his whole recovery.
It seems like it, yeah.
Yeah, when he came back from that cancer, they rushed him so fast.
I feel like it was like they wanted the feel-good story, of it all, and at the same time, they just rushed it.
They
completely.
did, and it felt really unfortunate for him. Your body goes through so much damage when you go through a cancer treatment, as we know it, and it takes time for it to recover.
100%, Nika, 100%. He did not win the closer job in Red Sox camp. That went to Aroldis Chapman. And so the Red Sox are not going to be without their closer here.
I never saw him as a closer. I always thought he's going to be like the guy setting up the closer.
Yeah, I think that's where I saw him being, especially with the Red Sox. Though we should say he was a closer with the White Sox. So
I'm not even going to count that.
Okay. He's a different person now and a different player, and we should embrace just trying to get him back on the field and healthy consistently, right?
He's the only Australian in the mix. Up there, he's 36 years old.
Indeed. All right. Well, I want to get to a bigger injury, and that's Jordan Montgomery on the Arizona Diamondbacks, everybody, who, if you don't remember, was the free agent signing at the end of spring training last year. It was kind of like a where did this come from move, right, Nika, with the signing of him. And then the owner, Ken Kendrick, publicly expressed frustration with Jordan Montgomery when the offseason started. After Arizona missed the playoffs, he said, quote, "Looking back in hindsight, a horrible decision to have invested that money in a guy that performed as poorly as he did. It's our biggest mistake this season from a talent standpoint, and I'm the perpetrator of that." So he basically blamed himself for spending the extra money on Jordan Montgomery last year, but really threw him under the bus by like blaming him for like their entire almost misfortunes last season. And now the investment is getting even worse, right? Because he's not even going to be on the field, let alone he didn't earn a starting job in camp this year. And now he's going under the knife and not even going to pitch probably until mid next year. And he's even going to be a Diamondback when he does. I just think this one's a little bit of like an ironic situation in retrospect of the owner's comments and everything else going on here. It's, he already was having buyer's remorse before this. How is he feeling now? Like, it's got to be ugly situation when it comes to Jordan Montgomery and the Diamondbacks. And you just got to wonder what's going to happen with him going forward. He's probably pitching is at such a premium. He will get another chance somewhere.
He will. I don't think it's going to be with the Diamondbacks, but he did sign up with them again after all those comments were made. So,
well, of course, but I mean, I don't think he was going to get a better offer elsewhere. And now he would have had to go through a physical. He probably wouldn't have passed if he's going to have Tommy John now.
Tommy, can you hear me?
The fact that he got that contract from Boris last year with that option he was able to exercise, because he took that option after those comments, as you said. So
time will tell. He's a free agent at the end of the season. So
time will tell. Tommy John, though, rearing its ugly head all over the Major League Baseball. And I wanted to take a little break in the middle of the show here, and let's go to school for a second, everybody.
Now, somebody please tell me where you left off in your textbooks.
We're here to learn. Anybody else have a problem with that?
If I need to ask again, I'm going to write up the entire class. Take your seats.
Recess is over.
Chewie, take the professor in the back and plug him into the hyperdrive.
Good, now we're having fun.
Well, this was a timely baseball school segment because I happened to catch Steve Stone, everybody, who I grew up listening to broadcast Cubs games on WGN most of the time. And he was my baseball teacher on the broadcast side of things growing up, outside of my dad, of course, and mom. But everyone, when you're young, teaches you baseball. But Steve Stone was my baseball teacher because the Cubs were on a lot in the afternoon, after school, throughout the summer. And it was a great chance to sit down and watch a game and learn from one of the best, a Cy Young winner as a pitcher for the Baltimore Orioles, someone that's been through it all, seen the game up close and personal, of course. He is still kicking everybody. He is working in the White Sox broadcast booth. Probably not the easiest team to cover on a daily basis, but he does it with style and grace still to this day, with his great voice. And he was on the radio yesterday, 670 to Score. Everybody in Chicago, give a shout out to them. They were my source of information for many, many years when I was living there, and still are, as I stream them quite often here on the West Coast on YouTube. Quick shout out to them. Molly and Haw had on Steve Stone yesterday morning, and they got to talking about Tommy John because the White Sox had 6 Tommy John surgeries come up during this spring training. 6. I feel like Heath Ledger in Dark Knight. 6.
Well, they are trying to compete with the Dodgers.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, Steve Stone was asked about just Tommy John surgeries in general, and I thought he gave one of the most beautiful answers that doesn't get talked about enough when it comes to why we are experiencing an epidemic of Tommy John surgeries. So without further ado, let's go to baseball school with Steve Stone, everybody.
If you don't get to the point where you train your body to pitch in excess of 200 innings, you're never going to be able to do that. And how do we do that? We get guys throwing more, but we get guys pitching. You don't throw every pitch as hard as you can because the object of pitching is to keep hitters off balance. If you're throwing every pitch 98, then he knows the velocity that you're going to throw. That means you can only fool him with location. You should be able to fool him with both velocity and location. But in lieu of that, we're seeing more injuries. We're seeing more guys not able to throw strikes consistently because they are not pitching, they're throwing. And maybe the industry will start to change. I hope that it does, because I hate to see young talent ruined by numerous surgeries of one sort or another.
All right. Well, this clip was really good, and for a number of reasons. But the big thing that gets communicated here is the difference between throwing and pitching. And I think this sums up why we are in the middle of this epidemic, Nika. We have too many people out there that are not pitching and just throwing as hard as they can. Like every pitch. They didn't used to, quote, do this, right? And that's what he's literally saying is like, I didn't do this as a pitcher. Like, no one should be doing this as a pitcher. And pitching is about pitching, not about throwing.
I know. There's a huge difference. Verlander is the one that will tell you the same thing.
And I want to talk about Verlander, and I also want to mention Jacob deGrom, because we heard earlier this year Chris Young criticize a little bit Jacob deGrom for trying to take a mile or two off of his fastball because he was saying, quote, can you really be Jacob deGrom then? And it's like, yes, he can be. He can be an even better version of himself, according to Steve Stone. So my advice to any major league pitcher out there right now is to listen to Steve Stone instead of Chris Young. Like, you need to learn how to pitch to be successful in this league. You don't need to learn how to throw harder or train your body or condition your body to throw harder. And the other thing Steve Stone talked about here is conditioning your body to throw more innings. When you don't throw every pitch as hard as you can, guess what? You might be able to throw more than 180 innings in a season. You might be able to get to 280 innings in a season. And it's like, that's a lot of innings lost over the years. A lot.
And there's a huge push by the MLB in general to shorten the starting pitching rotation. And that's not right either.
We see more and more teams like looking at maybe optioning a 6-man rotation, especially early on in the season. We see more and more teams just optioning players back and forth, like fill-in starts and injuries, and scheduling is at pitching's at a premium. It's all happening right now.
Yes, and they don't want to address the problem with the mechanics and the problem with the injuries.
Yes.
They just put a Band-Aid on everything else, and, we just get more pitchers.
That's
the answer.
Just to piggyback off of what you're saying and what Steve Stone was saying, like, the difference between pitching and throwing is when you have a guy throwing as hard as they can every time or chasing velocity, they are sacrificing their mechanics in order to do that. And good mechanics is good health. You don't just have good mechanics for accuracy pitching. It also keeps your body healthy. Mm-hmm. It keeps you on the mound and not in Tommy John surgery. And they are not doing a full revolution with their arm circle at the bottom of it. They are cheating the elbow up early in order to, quote unquote, short arm the ball and rip it, basically short arm fling it and chase velocity, because you can get a couple extra miles per hour doing that, but you're then
cost?
sacrificing your elbow.
Exactly. That's the cost.
And then you do that over and over again as hard as you can, and look at where we're at.
Yeah.
We need to bring back the art of pitching, everybody. And Steve Stone is hitting the nail right on the head here, so kudos to him, and I hope his voice gets heard more. He should be on MLB Network talking about this.
Oh, no, it goes against the philosophy right now, so we can't be talking about that.
All right, well, I could talk about this all day, but unfortunately we have a lot more to get through on this show because it was a busy opening day, everybody. Nika, what is next, my dear, on the schedule?
Well, tell me how you really feel.
Oh, I'm looking forward to this, everybody. Cue the music.
They didn't even ask how I'm feeling.
You don't know how I feel!
You want answers!
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
Search your feelings. You know it to be true.
Maybe you can tell him how I really feel.
I got something to say.
It's not any better. Say what you gotta say.
I caught this before the season started, but John Boy, one of the most successful social media personalities we follow in all of baseball, he is lucky enough to host Aaron Boone. I don't know how often they do it, but I think during the regular season, it's like a weekly chat that they get to do. And this is a little bit different than your average chat because I think they ask some tough questions sometimes. And
well, they are not mainstream media. Therefore,
they are not.
They are capable of asking tougher questions.
They are. I remember last season a specific moment where John Boy called out Aaron Boone on the Yankees base running statistics, and Aaron Boone was like, I don't believe that. And he's like, they're statistics, man. So it got a little heated for a second, and I give Aaron Boone credit for continuing to come back on. And I want to say that up front, you don't have to be so sensitive as to handle a tough question and be like, I'm never talking to that guy ever again. We can all have a little bit of animated conversation from time to time and disagreement. Okay. Having said that, this was Aaron Boone on John Boy's podcast about the automated balls and strike system we saw during spring training. And here was what he had to say about it.
You don't like the ABS challenge system. Why not?
I just honestly hated it. Just the frivolous 1-0 challenge in the second inning, stop the game. Boom. Oh, it changes now. It's not 1-1, it's 2-0. Inevitably, you're going to have the last play of the game, a big win overturned on a ball an inch one way or the other, and it changes. I'm the guy that gets kicked out and argues the strike zone and everything. I really think our umpires are as good as they've ever been. They keep getting better. We just know when they miss by an inch. I'm all over you when you're missing by an inch. But the reality is they're getting better and better all the time, and I don't think I want it.
I am in large disagreement here with Aaron Boone, and I say that because of some of the calls that I saw yesterday on opening day. It was just annoying to see pitches that were inside of the box drawn on my TV, pitch after pitch after pitch, landing inside the box, called a ball, and then by contrast, a lot of pitches landing outside of that box being called strikes. I feel like this technology is not that invasive here, and
it's not.
MLB, they released some statistics yesterday in order to sort of show how the ABS system performed in the minor leagues, in spring training. And every time a pitch was challenged, we're literally getting 13 seconds of time added. That's it. So in order to get it right, I don't think that's going to make anyone's arms stiffen up or cause a huge delay in a game. Does it disrupt the flow of the game? Maybe for a second, but it's not like it's happening that much because only 2.6% of pitches were challenged. And of those 2%, 52% of them were overturned.
That's a lot.
It is a lot. And it's worth it to get those right, I think. Not just for the fact that it gets the call right in the moment, but maybe it course corrects an umpire behind the plate and being like, oh, that pitch was a strike. I need to adjust for the game.
Yeah, that's a good idea because sometimes you need second hand of eyes to double check. And this is great system. It doesn't take a long time to implement. I think they are just scared.
I think they are scared of change and tradition and things of that nature. But if anyone's capable of wrecking tradition, it's this commissioner. He's already done it with the 10th inning and with the DH in the National League and with the pitching clock. So, I mean, why stop here? Especially when it's good for the game. I think we all see it. They didn't have this technology 75 years ago in 1950. We understand that. But now that we do and we can all see these things with our own eyes, it's just irritating. It's frustrating to watch a game yesterday. Michael King, Chris Sale, we were watching that game. Both were getting missed calls. Both were getting some calls, missing some calls. It was frustrating for both of them. And you could see it on their faces. They probably wanted to tap their hats.
And they couldn't.
So I don't know what's right or wrong here, but I don't agree with Aaron Boone.
Yeah.
I know that much. And I know that I would like to see the ABS system implemented sooner than later. That's my feelings. Okay, what's next, Nika?
You should never underestimate the predictability of stupidity.
You are the future.
Because I'm a bit of a psychic myself.
The future looks good.
It turns out you're a hard man to predict.
Kiss the future.
Oh, yes, it's predictions time, everybody. Well, just so you know, these are not our predictions. We did that on the last show for the season. But from now on, the predictions segment on our podcast will be finding predictions that are made by someone in the baseball establishment media and questioning that prediction because of things, reasons. They don't make sense.
Okay,
and I found one of those from Welcome Back, Mark DeRosa. Oh, DeRosa, I love you, buddy, but this one was a reach. I don't know if he was asked for a league, but it was in the American League. Here's what he said.
MVP conversation, right now it's dominated by two players, Ohtani and Judge, and rightly so. Give me a dark horse MVP candidate you think we should keep an eye on.
This is interesting.
All right.
And I'm going to trust the back of the baseball card here. I think Mike Trout's going to have a monster.
Okay. All right.
I really do. I think he figured some things out that were causing him some pain and kind of maybe coming off his backside a little bit more. I think biomechanically he's adjusted his swing. He had a nice spring training. He's got violent.
He had 10
obliques.
Look at him. Al, he had 10 home runs in 29 games last year.
And he was number 39th on the top 100.
Yeah.
And Mike, I'm going to put you on blast just for a smidge because we have a nice relationship. He texted me and basically was like, who makes this list out? Who does this? He's got some. Okay,
he's good.
He's got an axe to grind with some people.
Sure.
Oh, Mark, where should we begin? Nika, you had some thoughts.
I feel like a lot of the establishment talking heads, they just go with the names that they know, that they're familiar to the people, so they can talk about the names they know, not the people that they don't, because it's harder. And I think that's where it comes from.
Well, yeah, to your point, I think Lawrence Butler has a better chance of winning MVP this year than Mike Trout does.
Yeah.
And I say that because Mike Trout hasn't played a full season of games in 8 years. 8 seasons.
And not to take away anything of his accomplishments, the
No.
man did good, but come on, he's an aging player.
If you want to win MVP, you got to play like 95% of your team's games to start with, right?
Absolutely.
I don't know what DeRosa's looking at with the back of the baseball card, because if he was looking at the back of the 2025 Mike Trout baseball card, he would see the games played over the last 8 years. Even in the COVID-shortened season, 53 out of 60 games. He couldn't even play in 58.
Anything the establishment talks about is about the existing players, and maybe there's a rookie that just sparks some interest. Other than that, it's the same names.
I don't see Mike
Ohtani,
Trout
yeah.
getting any MVP votes this year.
I'm sure
that's
he's
just
going to
me.
get some. He will get some MVP votes.
If he plays enough, I mean,
sure, if he plays enough, he will still get some MVP votes because of his name recognition.
maybe. He had that injury, the knee that just wound up never healing.
Oh, it's healed.
He had the
today, though.
meniscus surgery
Yeah, I
in
know.
May and
I
never
thought
came back.
Didn't he have a hand too?
That was a hamate bone the year before. So, I mean, again, we know the history of injuries with Mike Trout in recent memory. I know everyone wants to go back in time and have it be 2013 again, and we can all look at rookie Mike Trout and drool and imagine the future, but the future is now, and it's not been pretty.
Yeah.
And I know he has some amazing numbers, but is he a Hall of Famer even anymore? I don't know. I think some of that's come into question, which was once upon a time like a sure thing, because he hasn't been able to stay on the field enough. All right. We'll keep listening for predictions and looking for more to hang out to dry, like Mark DeRosa here. No offense, D-Ro. We love you, but this one was not a good pick from you. All right. Well, it's time to continue to hold the media accountable, Nika. It's time to stop the presses.
Stop the press. Listen, I'm sorry about what I said. I was being an idiot.
Excellent example of infield journalistic investigative technique.
Therefore, your heinous comment will be stricken from the record.
I just happen to notice that our presses aren't running, which strikes me as rather odd since we are, after all, a newspaper.
All right, and I want to turn our attentions here to MLB Network and the MLB Tonight crew. It was yesterday. They had the Red Sox, and they were showing Devers, and they were showing Alex Bregman taking ground balls together at third base. And here's what Dan Plesac had to say about the whole situation regarding Devers and Alex Bregman and third base.
I look at it this way. I thought about this last night. This shows me how much clout that Alex Cora has.
Think about that. They re-sign him, bring him back as a manager, and it would be a really tough sell to say, we're a better team with Bregman at third right now, you DHing. If that was a different manager, that would have been a very difficult conversation to have. But if you're Alex Cora, you walk Everest and you say, hey, I've seen you play. You know me, I know you. Yeah. Right now, we're a better team with you DH and Bregman playing third base.
That's the power of Alex Cora.
Amen.
There are a handful of managers right now.
Correct.
That carry
and that the front office will listen to.
100%.
All right. And yes, we also heard Greg Amsinger in that clip kind of backing up Dan Plesac's thoughts here, but we have Alex Cora really said this. I just don't understand their whole attitude about this from the beginning. I have had issue with the way the Devers situation was handled by the Red Sox, and I've also had issue with the way the media is covering it, saying like, well, Alex Bregman's a Gold Glover. He should be the third baseman. And I feel this way for a couple of reasons, but one of the biggest reasons is that I don't think Devers is worse at third than Christian Campbell is at second. And I'm not saying that because of Christian Campbell is a bad player. He's a highly rated prospect for the Red Sox. But are you telling me that the Red Sox are a better team right now with an unproven prospect at second base than Alex Bregman at second base and Devers at third base? Really? Are you going to try and make that? I don't see that argument.
It's a funny situation with baseball over there with the Red Sox. What's going on? I don't understand it, but it is what it is at this point.
I don't understand why Alex Bregman did not start the season at second and Rafael Devers did not start the season at third. They can both still take reps at third base like we see them right now doing. Bregman can take the extra reps if he wants, but make it Devers' job to lose. Let him go out there and make 5 or 6 errors or lose you a game or something to give a reason. I just feel like if Greg Amsinger or Dan Plesac showed up to work tomorrow at MLB Network or today, and there was a new host for MLB Tonight that had never been there before, and a new co-host for MLB Tonight that had never been there before, and Greg and Dan were both pushed to cover the overnight shift instead. Do you think they're going to be happy? Just blindsided by this? They didn't know,
No, of course not.
So it's a total hypocrisy take, in my opinion, to now, it would be the same thing as if this happened to them at their job and then their boss came down, they would be like, great move, boss. You really have control of me. I just want to point out that hypocrisy because we both know they wouldn't feel that way at all. And they would be totally butthurt and upset.
No, you mean they wouldn't take one for the team?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't think so at all, especially Greg.
Oh, gosh, no.
Come on. And I'm not saying he hasn't earned his place on that show either. I'm just saying Rafael Devers also earned his place at third base on the Boston Red Sox, especially when he inked a $330 million extension, which is a hell of a lot more money than you make, Gregory. All right, well, that was Stop the Presses, and this is when we hold the mainstream media accountable, and I think we did a hell of a job, Nika.
All right. Nothing like tooting our own horn.
Do we have some welcome to the show, or did I skip that?
No, we're gonna go to the going to the show right now.
Did you hear what I said? I mean, I'm going to the show.
Thought you might like to go to the show.
What you need is a curveball, huh? In the show, everybody can hit a fastball.
Mama, let me go to the show.
Yeah, I was in the show. I was in the show for 21 days once. 21 greatest days of my life.
I've got to let it go.
You don't know shit, all right? You want to make it to the show, you'll listen to me.
And just enjoy the show.
All right, and we mentioned this man on the previous episode, but it is Facebook official, as they say, everybody. Max Muncy, not that one. Not the one on the Dodgers, but Max Muncy on the A's. Don't call them the Sacramento A's, by the way. He has had his contract selected by the A's and is on the team. Congratulations to Max Muncy II in MLB at the same time.
We might have to put a little asterisk next to their name.
Well, it's going to be hard to tell them apart, at least just with their names.
Sure, but the unis are very different.
True. Those yellow A's uniforms are quite a sight to behold, everybody. All right. Well, we also have a pitcher on the A's. I'm sorry, a pitcher on the Angels making their major league debut sometime, I believe, this weekend. The Angels announced that Ryan Johnson, not to be confused with the Star Wars movie director, everybody, Ryan Johnson, who is 22 years old and a right-hander that they drafted in last year's second round. He's breaking camp with the big league club. Welcome to the show. He is doing so without ever playing in the minor leagues.
Oh, he jumped.
He jumped straight to the bigs. I don't know if this had anything to do with the fact that he struck out Shohei Ohtani looking last week in one of the minor league games. He was a compensatory pick after Ohtani signed with the Dodgers to the Angels. So they got that draft pick from the Dodgers because they signed Shohei Ohtani, and they used it to draft this kid who then struck Ohtani out in this minor league game, and now he's on the roster. Oh. Ron Washington, the manager, he said, quote, he proved that he matured even though he hadn't had any professional experience. He throws strikes, and he's not afraid, and he makes adjustments. I just think he can fit good in our bullpen. We didn't give him anything. He took the job.
That's nice.
That's high praise from Ron Washington, a World Series. At least he's made the World Series. I don't know if they won with the Rangers, but he's a World Series manager at least.
Well, the retirement community needs new bloods.
They do. More than anybody.
Yeah.
They need some youth movement, everybody. So good to see someone younger joining their ranks. All right. And that's the call-ups for this episode, everybody, which means it's time to venture beyond. Nika?
Beyond the box score.
There are some things in this world that go way beyond human understanding. Things that cannot be explained. Things that most people don't want to know about.
I wish it just meant runs and hits and errors, the things you can see in a box score.
Treasures beyond your wildest aspirations.
To infinity and beyond.
For the Indians, one run on, let's see, one hit. That's all. We got one goddamn hit.
And we're doing it with one of my favorites today after opening day because Fernando Tatis Jr., everybody, was 3 for 4 yesterday with 2 runs. And get this, Nika, 2 stolen bases. Fernando was asked about running on the base paths after the game, and this is what he had to say.
Now that you're back running 100%, do you have a stolen base goal in mind this year?
I don't, but that's a good start.
30, 40?
Around there.
How different does it feel to run like that now as compared to last year?
I mean, it's way different. Like I said, I was in one leg last year and still find a way how to make it happen, but this year I'm healthy and hopefully I can keep it that way.
Did you like batting leadoff?
Yeah, I'll figure it out anywhere.
Your numbers are great. Does it?
I think they're good everywhere, but it's all right.
Yeah. Does it change anything?
Huh?
Does it change any approach?
No, just get it started. Put the ball in play, run the bases hard. That's all I do.
Well, there's a couple things to break down there from Fernando, and one of them that really caught my attention was that I think I caught a hint in his voice that he enjoys hitting leadoff. It just sounded to me when he was asked at first, he was like, yeah. And then he was like, but I like to do whatever's best for the team. Like he was really kind of a quick recovery there.
Politically correct answer. You can't be giving away you cards.
It was. However, I do want to say that I think I've been resistant to put Fernando in the leadoff spot because I would just rather see him hitting with guys on base like Arise but I'm changing my tune today. I want Fernando Tatis to hit leadoff.
Can you hear the drums, Fernando?
Because I think he likes it, and I don't know if I want him running on the base paths behind Luis Arise anymore.
Well, he's a lot faster than Luis Arise.
I know.
For starters.
I know. And does Arise still provide you value in the number 2 slot?
Absolutely.
Exactly. So I'm just maybe I'm changing my tune a little bit here. And then you put Manny and Merrill afterwards and you do righty lefty that way. I think we saw this lineup yesterday the way it was because of Chris Sale being on the mound
Well, we
because
see
it's
how
a
it is
tough
today.
matchup for a left-handed batter. Even Luis Ariz, it was a tough matchup for him.
Sure, but we will see how it goes today, even though,
Yes, we will.
card
Ronaldo
hasn't-
Lopez is a righty for the Braves.
True, and the card hasn't been submitted yet, so.
Exactly. But I wouldn't hate this. I want to play another clip here of Mike Schilt when he was asked about Fernando running. It's a little short clip here, but let's take a listen.
Did you come in anticipating that Fernando would, reintroduce the running game to his game a little more than he's been able to?
Yes, we had a good feeling about that. He had the best feeling about it, so I'll take my cue from him.
So the thing that stood out to me about both Fernando and Mike Schilt, the way they talk to the media here is like they're playing coy a little bit. And they don't want to necessarily give the game away here, everybody, that like, oh, yeah, we are going to be more aggressive this year. I think this is exciting because it shows to me that the Padres organization, at least internally, feels that Fernando is 100% healthy. I don't think they'd be running him right now like this, like free. I don't think they'd take the chains off if they weren't 100% sure that leg injury from last year was healed.
I guess we will wait and see how everything progresses, but I like this idea not broadcasting and announcing all these things that we're going to be doing and just falling short because of it.
100%. All right. Well, I'm excited. I just want Fernando to stay healthy no matter what happens. I want to see multiple years of 90 to 95% games, just like we were talking about with Mike Trout a second ago. Like if Fernando's ever going to live up to his potential, he's going to have to do it by being on the field and not being on the injured list.
Yeah.
So let's pray and hope for that, everybody, to the baseball gods. And let's turn our attentions to some of the milestones that we saw yesterday from opening day, everybody. It is time to go to the history books for these baseball players.
Get ready for greatness.
By far, my greatest achievement.
We stand here amidst my achievement.
That record's going to hold for a while, let me tell you.
You idiot!
Just don't touch my records. Ever.
All right, and I am going to start with our Friars, who had record attendance at Petco Park yesterday for opening day, everybody. That is really cool news, and it shows how much the Friar faithful are still into this team, I feel like. 45,568 in attendance yesterday, largest opening day crowd in Petco Park history. This was previously done in 2014 when the Padres opened at home against the Dodgers.
You can't say enough about it. It's just, before the game, you appreciate it. You take a step back and just pinch yourself at how blessed you are and grateful you are to be here with these fans. And, I talked to Scan after the second. This is a wonderful fan base to go on this journey we're going to be on with them all season. And the support we're going to get and are getting from our fan base means a lot to me and our club for sure.
Well, it's the only game in town, so I hope that it's packed every time.
That's not true. They have soccer/football now in town.
Fine.
I did see the LA Clippers wished the San Diego Padres a good season. In case you don't know, the Clippers started in San Diego once upon a time, and upon wishing the Padres a good season, many Dodger fans told them to get the hell out of LA. They are more than welcome back in San Diego. Come on back.
Maybe they should.
We'll take you. The Lakers got enough to worry about after their night last night, everybody. Okay, well, Padres attendance wasn't the only record happening at Petco Park yesterday. We also had Jackson Merrill, who became the first player aged 21 or younger to drive in at least 4 runs in a season opener. Since Jason Hayward, everybody, his now teammate, did it in 2010. So
hilarious to see the oldest and the youngest player on one team. Well, Jason Hayward is not the oldest on the team, but the age difference between these two.
Yeah, it's a little bit humorous, and I also want it to be a stark reminder that Jackson Merrill, please don't go the way of Jason Hayward for your whole career. Please don't.
Different baseball IQs.
I get it. I agree, and Jason Hayward obviously still serviceable, still working, but for how long remains to be seen. Manny Machado, by the way, he scored 3 runs in yesterday's game. He had 2 doubles and 2 stolen bases of his own yesterday, and that's the first time in his career that he's had both 2 doubles and 2 stolen bases in the same game. So kind of a fun little stat there.
Manny with his own milestone.
I want to talk about the Astros for a second, Nika. The Astros, of course, we talked about Cam Smith being the 22-year-old that got the call up. Officially, we did that call up on our predictions episode, everybody. So if you want to hear our predictions for the whole season, go make sure and check out the previous episode that we recorded. You'll see Nika looking like a gypsy on the cover and myself looking like Nostradamus. But in that episode, we mentioned Cam Smith will be making his debut, and he did yesterday. He got a hit in his first at-bat, by the way, which was really cool to see. And he and his teammate, his veteran teammate, Jose Altuve, made his first start in the outfield yesterday. And Cam Smith, also being called up, made his first start in the outfield yesterday. And they became the first teammates to make their first start in the outfield together in the same game on opening day since 1982, everybody. Isn't that crazy, Nika?
That is crazy.
I found that shocking to believe that of all the teams in baseball, 30, that no other team in the last 43 years, my whole life, has never had 2 players make their first outfield starts in the same game on opening day. That's crazy.
Maybe it's just a hard position to fill in like this by the rookies, to expect them to be good right away.
Well, it's only happened 4 times in the last 75 seasons. The 1982 Rangers were the last team to have it happen with Larry Parrish and George Wright, 2 players I've never really heard of. The 1970 Indians had it happen with Ted Ford and Roy Foster. And the 1952 Browns, not football Browns, but baseball Browns, George Schmees and Jim Rivera. George Schmees, everybody. What a great last name. Schmee. You think he was a gangster, Nika?
Maybe.
All right. Well, pretty cool nugget for Astros history there, but we got to move on because Mackenzie Gore was the pitcher of the hour yesterday, everybody. Of all the lackluster starts that we had in Major League Baseball yesterday, Mackenzie Gore was certainly not one of them. He took the Phillies to task, everybody. 6 scoreless innings, no walks, and 13 strikeouts on opening day. He joins just one other pitcher in history to do that on opening day in both AL and NL history, by the way. Only one other pitcher has done this on opening day, and that is Bob Gibson, everybody. Probably one of the best to ever do it. Crazy to me that Mackenzie Gore went out there and tied Bob Gibson yesterday. No one had that on their bingo card, by the way. Mackenzie Gore has had basically what is, I feel like, been unlimited potential forever and ever and ever, and yet he's never put it together yet either. And maybe, just maybe, this is the season where we see him do that.
Maybe, yeah.
So, Mackenzie Gore, everybody. Congratulations on that tremendous accomplishment on opening day. That is amazing. All right. Well, we had a couple of other fun milestones in the evening games over here on the West Coast. I'm going to start in LA, where it was one of our favorites here on the KeNikka Sports Show, Spencer Torkelson, someone we used to talk about a couple seasons ago because he kind of had a down year last year. He was statistically perfect yesterday, by the way. He, as a DH, tied an opening day record by walking 4 times in the same game, everybody. That's partly Blake Schnell's fault. But he also becomes just the 14th player to do so in a season opener. And he also hit a home run in this game, everybody. He is the first player since 1901 to have at least 1 home run and 4 walks on opening day. And ended the day with an on-base plus slugging of 5,000. Congratulations, Spencer Torkelson. You won opening day as far as I'm concerned. No one can beat a 5,000 OPS.
Crazy.
Crazy indeed. And I want to end in the desert with Miguel Amaya, everybody, the Cubs catcher, Speaking of 1901, he played an unexpected role when he tied a career high with 5 RBIs yesterday in the Cubs' 10-6 win on opening day. He is just the 5th American League / National League catcher since 1901 with 5 RBIs on opening day. He joins JP Arencibia. I've never heard of JP, but Ivan Rodriguez I've heard of, and he did it in 2000. Carlton Fisk did it in 1973, and Yogi Berra in 1956. Obviously, 3 Hall of Fame catchers there I listed, and that's why I thought it was fun for Miguel Amaya to join that company. He also joined Arencibia and Van Mungo as the only number 9 hitters since 1901 to drive in 5 RBIs in the season opener. So as a number 9 hitter, the last man up, 5 big runs batted in. Congratulations to Miguel Amaya. That was an unexpected milestone yesterday.
That's for sure.
All right. And one more we got to touch base because it's extra special is Mr. O'Neill, as we like to call him around these parts. He did something that has obviously never been done in baseball. He went yard again, everybody, on opening day. This is 6 straight. Let's hear from Jared Carabas on MLB Network, who was on with Adnan Virk yesterday on their wrap-up show last night. Let's hear what he had to say about Tyler O'Neill.
The guy that I'm going to select, obviously, it's Tyler O'Neill. How do you not pick Tyler O'Neill having a home run 6 straight opening days? We actually got a little sneak peek of the Red Sox Netflix documentary that's coming out.
Nice.
I think it's April 8th. And one of the big things they highlighted in that first episode was all the players in the Red Sox knew that he had this opening day streak going, and no one talked to him. It was almost like he had a no-hitter going into opening day. No one talked to him about it. They all knew about it. So I can only imagine that his teammates with the Baltimore Orioles felt the same way today. And it's a very cool thing. 6 straight years with a home run on opening day is unprecedented.
All right, well, this streak is just, this story gets more fun by the minute. The streak is alive and well, but we heard from last year how it was given like the no-hitter treatment. And wow, I want to hear more about if the Orioles did anything special for him this year. Like, were they giving him this silent treatment throughout the day yesterday, the game? Like, I want to hear more. But yeah, I look forward to it. And I look forward to next year's opening day once again to see if this streak can stay alive. Please stay healthy, Tyler O'Neill. Like, I feel like that's the only thing that can take you down from continuing this monumental streak, that 6 straight opening days with a home run. That's incredible.
It is. It's a very incredible accomplishment. Yep.
All right, everybody. Well, speaking of Mr. O'Neill, he is also the subject of today's Extra Innings, everybody.
Extra, read all about it.
Well, this was a fun little nugget that I happened to catch on Foul Territory, everybody, with the host, Scott Braun. And he had Jackson Holliday on, who is the youngster. He's playing shortstop right now for the injured Gunnar Henderson, but he will be their second baseman eventually. Jackson Holliday, here he is talking about when he first met Tyler O'Neill.
O'Neill's great. Yeah, I remember my first kind of interaction with him. I was lifting, and then I watch him like walk in there, and I don't even think he warmed up. He just picked up like the 110-pound dumbbells, and then just started benching him, and then like put him down, and did like 1 or 2 other things, and just left. And I'm like, that was awesome. Just to picked up the 110s for a warm up, repped him out, and I was like, that's sick. I mean, that's what I want to be able to do here in a few years. So yeah, it's been awesome to watch him work and kind of the way that he approaches the game as a hitter. And I know he can hit some really far home runs and has had an awesome career. So it's been fun to kind of pick his brain and be around him and the presence that he brings.
This is hilarious to me. He's like warming up with the 110s, like he not even the 100s. He goes straight for the 110s, huh? It's that extra 10 on each arm that makes the difference. If you don't know, Tyler O'Neill's father is a bodybuilder, I believe.
Yes, he was a competitive bodybuilder, and he was also named Mr. Canada in 1975. This
Tyler O'Neill story is fun, and like I think the fact that he has muscles and like body builds adds to the like the lore of it all, you know. If only he could hold it up over the rest of the 161 games. Am I right? I do think in his case it just adds to the lore of this opening day streak where it's like, oh, the muscle man is the one that's got it. All right, everybody. Well, that is going to do it for this episode of the KeNikka Sports Show, everybody. But before we get out of here, I want to please remind everyone that if you have not subscribed or if you have not liked this episode and you did like what you hear, please do like the show. Please do subscribe. Please tell your friends that love baseball to tune in, or if they love any sports, check us out. We'll be posting NFL episodes soon, NBA stuff as we get closer and closer to the playoffs, and those Bulls take the world by storm out of nowhere, everybody. No, exciting stuff going on in the sports world, and we are going to be here covering it all, so please spread the word. And we'll be back here on Monday with our first hot and cold awards of the regular season, everybody, except for the Tokyo series, which we did. All right, adios.